We stand for reconciliation. We stand against those who think they can exploit the vulnerable. We stand against hate and division. We stand with workers and the middle class. We stand with Canadians. We stand up for Canada.
What happens when the leader of Canada's Liberal Party turns a political fundraiser into a holiday spectacle? Well, we saw it at the Liberal Holiday Party, where what was supposed to be an evening of routine political networking quickly became a performance that felt less like a fundraiser and more like an impromptu show starring none other than Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Trudeau has often found himself walking the fine line between genuine connection and theatrical performance. But this time, his speech at the Liberal Holiday Party raised more than a few eyebrows.
Thank you all for being here tonight. It has been an eventful couple of days. It hasn't been easy, and that's why I'm so happy to see you guys.
Was it a spontaneous expression of holiday spirit, or a carefully crafted moment designed to put him at the center of attention? As we move forward, I'd like to ask you a quick favor to subscribe and like this video. It takes just a second and helps so much. Trudeau's speech wasn't just different from the usual, but he took the audience on an emotional roller coaster, combining political points with declarations of love and personal connections. This wasn't just about policies or achievements. It was about him, his relationship with the people in the room, and how he saw himself as the glue holding the Liberal family together. But the question arises, is this family metaphor truly a proper reflection of his leadership style? Or is it just a polished performance designed to appeal to the public? Trudeau's repeated declarations of love for his country, his party, and his staff certainly touched some people. Yet it also begs the question, does this emotional display reflect genuine sentiment?
You know, I love this country. I deeply love this party. I love you guys. And love is what families are all about.
In some ways, his claims about his love for Canada and the Liberal Party are similar to what we've heard from leaders time and time again. There was an overwhelming emphasis on the contributions of staff, volunteers, and donors. People who, in his words, were the ones on the front lines, helping make tangible differences in Canadian lives. He spent a significant portion of his address showering them with compliments, from giving special recognition to individuals like Nancy Stewart, who had served for over 30 years, to acknowledging the tireless efforts of those at the bottom of the political ladder. But while Trudeau lavished compliments on his team, it was impossible not to notice how often his own leadership was subtly reasserted. There was a repeated mention of his own role as the central figure. The most telling of these moments was when he repeated phrases like, "I love you guys," "I deeply love this party," and "because of you." This combination of flattery with self-affirmation shows the subtle narcissistic tone of the speech. But something strange happened during the Liberal Party holiday speech.
Now, constituency staff really deserve the holiday break that's coming up shortly. But the same goes for every staffer in this room. As time goes on, I'm even more and more impressed by your professionalism, your dedication, and your hard work.
What was expected to be a composed political address became something far more chaotic. His delivery was not only cheerful, but at times a bit sloppy. Words were slurred, phrases stumbled, and the usual fluent manner of speech that the Prime Minister is known for was not evident. For a moment, he was expressing heartfelt affection for his party and staff, and in another moment, his words derailed in unexpected directions. The question remains, is this unfiltered speech a deliberate effort to seem more down-to-earth and accessible? Or is it an unconscious reflection of Trudeau's desire to be the center of attention? After all, his speech was not just a free-flowing stream of consciousness about policy. It was characterized by references to his personal feelings about the party, his leadership, and even his own love for the audience. The more he spoke about his personal affection, the more his ego seemed to slip through the cracks. With this in mind, his informal delivery could also be seen as a way of manipulating the emotional tone and overall outcome of the evening. By abandoning formal language and showing vulnerability through impromptu comments, Trudeau might have been using his chaotic delivery as a tool to draw people in, control the mood, and ultimately shift the conversation back to him.
When times get tough, you step up. You concentrate on the only thing that really matters, fighting like hell every single day to make life better for Canadians. Thank you to everyone in this room for everything you do. Now, our caucus members deserve praise as well, along with anybody here who works in parle affairs.
One of the most notable moments in the speech came when Trudeau made fun of his political rivals, particularly Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party.
Sometimes we have fights around the holidays. But of course, like most families, we find our way through it.
Trudeau compared his own unifying approach with the opposition's divisive tactics. Although many clapped, laughed, and joined in on the festive cheer, the reactions were not all positive. Critics and skeptics saw this performance for what it was: a distraction from the very real and pressing issues that the nation faces. They couldn't help but wonder if he was using humor to avoid addressing the country's current struggles. For those critics, the Prime Minister's behavior highlighted a larger problem with his leadership style: a tendency to ignore substantial political matters. Public perception ultimately shapes the legacy of any leader, and Trudeau's style is no exception. For some, his charisma and relatability are assets that make him an effective leader in modern politics. For others, they signal an over-reliance on personal flair that reduces his ability to address issues with the seriousness that is needed. As the applause faded and the lights dimmed on the Liberal holiday party, Trudeau's speech left a lingering question. Was it a narcissistic display or an earnest, although unconventional, attempt at connecting during a festive season? Perhaps the most important takeaway is the duality of leadership itself. Trudeau's style raises a question. In an era where public scrutiny magnifies every gesture, is a flair for the dramatic a necessary trait for modern leaders to stay relevant? Or does it risk ruining their credibility? No matter where one falls on this spectrum, one fact is undeniable. Trudeau knows how to command the spotlight. Whether that light ultimately illuminates his strengths or highlights his flaws is a decision left to the people he leads. What do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.